Hello, fourth grade, and welcome to Chapter 1 of Social Studies. We're going to start our chapter talking about the lands of the United States, and specifically for this first lesson, how does America use its strengths and face its challenges? So in this chapter, we're going to explore different strengths of America's land and the people who live here. We're also going to read about the country's geography, key events in history, different levels and branches of government, and how the economy works. You're going to use all these different views on America to tell what you think is this country's greatest strength. Now you're going to have a project to do at the end of this first lesson. I have modified the project a little bit in Google Classroom. You're going to be creating an advertisement, not specifically for America, but for your state. So you're going to be creating an advertisement for California. So you're going to pick what you think are some of the most interesting and attractive things about California that brings tourists here. Try and find evidence to support your opinion to tell why you think those things are correct. Put pictures in there and different images, things that are going to be eye-catching, things that are going to make the viewer want to see it and want to read more. Make sure you're using facts and evidence in your advertisement. Make sure it's colorful. Make sure you're talking about the geography, you're talking about the climate, all of the parts that make it a place that people want to visit. Now we're going to go in and jump immediately into our next page. Now over here, we're going to go over our words that are going to come up throughout this chapter. So when you go through page 4 and 5, you're going to put little check marks for now if you know the word. So your first word is the word amendment. You either know it, you've heard it, or you don't know it. Next is the word colonist, democracy, ethnic, expansion, immigrant, import, latitude, longitude, and scarcity. So take a moment to go through each word and check off the box that applies to you. Either you know it, you've heard about it, but you're not sure what it means, or you have no idea what it means and you haven't heard about it. Once you've completed that, we're going to jump into our first lesson. Now, before you guys get started, as we go through the chapter and go through each lesson, when you come across one of these words, we're going to flip back over here to pages 4 and 5. And in the My Notes section, we're going to write the meaning of that vocabulary word. The vocabulary words that we're going to cover throughout the chapter for the whole chapter are in these 2 pages. Now, our first lesson is how does geography define a region? So in this lesson, you're going to learn and use your investigative skills to figure out the important features of maps and important geographic features of the United States. This will help you learn more about the unique features of the United States, and you'll be able to recognize maps and representations of the Earth, identify different map features, and describe features that geographers use to analyze different locations. Now, when we first start our lesson, we're going to take a look at what we have to do over here on this sidebar on the left in the light blue. So number 1, we're going to inspect. We're going to look, inspect is another way to say look. Inspect the map and read the text. What do you think it shows? So take a look at this map over here. Circle details in the map that help you understand how to use it. Identify clues that tell you how the lines of latitude and longitude are used, what features of the area in the map are labeled, and how are directions in the map shown. So use this notes section to try and answer these questions. You're going to go through, going to take a closer look at this map, circle the parts that they asked you to circle, answer the questions to the best of your knowledge in the notes section, and then we're going to get started reading. Pointing it out with latitude and longitude. This is a map of North America. It shows lines of latitude and longitude. Latitude lines run side to side. Longitude lines run top to bottom. These lines are the same on every map. Geographers use them to locate a place on Earth. I'm going to pause here and give you an easy way to remember latitude and longitude. So latitude, we're talking about the lines that go side to side. So lat, flat. You're looking at the flat lines, the ones that go from side to side, or if they're on a globe, they kind of wrap around the globe. Longitude lines are long, so they're tall. They go from the North Pole down to the South Pole. To identify an exact location on the map, find the point where the two lines meet. You're going to look for the places where those lines cross with each other. And you're going to find that they meet at particular numbers. So if you follow those lines across, you'll see that they meet at different numbers. Each one of those lines is labeled. You can name this point with a set of numbers called coordinates. The latitude line is written first, then the longitude line is written second. We write the numbers in degrees using the degree symbol, which is that little circle. As an example, look for the point where the 30-degree line of latitude intersects with the 90-degree line of longitude. What city is labeled in that coordinate? Coordinates for New Orleans are written as 30 degrees north, 90 degrees west. Use the coordinates on the way. Using coordinates is one way to find the absolute location on a map. If we take a look at our map, 30 degrees north, 90 degrees west. So we see where those lines cross right here at New Orleans. Geographers also use the compass rose to identify one location relative to another. The compass rose indicates the 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. For example, Phoenix, Arizona is south of Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, when we're talking about relative location, we're talking about a location that's related. Remember, relative related. So think about your relatives that they're related to you. We're talking about how a location is, where it is related to something else. So if you say, I live in the yellow house that's to the right of the library, you're using the library to help identify where the house is. That's the landmark that you're referring to. Or you can say, the park is behind the school building. So you're using one place to help you identify where the other place is. The map scale shows the distance between 2 points on the map in relation to the actual distance on Earth. According to the scale, Phoenix is about 600 miles from Salt Lake City. When we're looking at our map, the compass rose points north, south, east, and west. The map scale usually has the numbers that shows you that a certain distance is equal to a certain amount of miles or kilometers, how it would be in real life. So these maps are scaled down. So this is the map scale. Otherwise, it would be the size of the Earth. So they scale it down so that you're able to see it all in one place. The key tells you what the symbols mean on a map. So over here, we know that the national capital is a star that's circled, and other cities are just the little filled in circle or the dot. So that was number 1, inspect and look at the map and answer those questions. Number 2, find evidence. Look again. Why do you think latitude and longitude have been helpful to geographers? Highlight the lines of latitude and longitude that pass through the United States. How can you use latitude and longitude to identify specific locations? Find Denver, Colorado on the map. How would you describe the location of Denver using latitude and longitude? So if we're going to take a look at Denver, we know that Denver is right here. Now, to use lines of latitude and longitude, we know that this line is 40 degrees north if we follow it all the way across. So 40 degrees north, and it's right in between the 100 and the 110. So 105, 105 west, 40 degrees north. Or sorry, you read it with the north-south first and then the east-west. So 40 degrees north, And then 105 degrees west is how you would describe the location of Denver, Colorado on this particular map. Now, as we move on to our next pages, we're going to start using our information from our textbook as well. So for page 10, explore the main idea and details. The main idea is the most important part that an author presents. So it's what the whole piece of writing that you're reading is about. It's the most important part. The details are the extra key points that support the main idea. So it's the extra information that shows you why that main idea is important or why it's correct. Find the main idea, look at the map, and read the text all the way through. This will help you understand what the page is about. Number 2, look again at the map and pay attention to all the symbols and the labels. The symbols and the labels help you understand the text. Number 3, reread the text. Look for information that supports the main idea. Is there a connection between the map and the text? Number 4, ask yourself, what information helps me identify and describe locations on a map? So based on the map that you've already analyzed on the page before and the text that you read, work with your class or with at home independently to complete the chart below. So what is the main idea? What is one detail that supports the main idea? And that's focused on our map right here. For page 11, we're going to read pages 8 to 17 in our research companion. That's your textbook. You're going to use your investigative skills to look for text evidence that provides detail to support the main idea. The chart will help you organize your notes. We're going to figure out what the main idea is from this reading, from those pages, and we're going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4 supporting details to describe it.
Geographers often analyze countries large and small by their unique features. They examine physical features, like landforms, climate, and natural resources. They also examine human features such as population and economy. The United States is one of the largest countries in the world at more than 3.7 million square miles. A trip from Maine in the northeast to Hawaii in the west will cover 5,000 miles. A trip from the top of Minnesota to the bottom of Texas is about 1,700 miles. Because of its vast size, dividing the United States into smaller regions can help you better understand the great diversity of the country's geography. To look at physical and human features of an area, geographers make and use different kinds of maps. Political maps, physical maps, and informational maps show geographic data. Other tools geographers use include satellite images, globes, and even charts and graphs.
Okay, so based on this passage, we can see that geographers analyze large countries and small ones by their unique features. So that's an important thing to remember. That's why they use these different maps, why they come up with these different types of maps to help understand the features of those areas and those landforms. They also look at human features. So they look at the population, how many people live there. They look at the economy. Is the population over there doing really well financially as far as money, or is it a lot of very poor people that live there? So let's go ahead and take a look at our next page. Now, throughout this page, we heard about the different things that they look at. We looked at the different kinds of maps that they use and different things that they use to help identify that, such as pictures, graphs, charts. They look at political maps that show the edges of countries and states, physical maps that show the landforms, informational maps that tell you where things are, and satellite images as well.
Illinois, Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Massachusetts, York, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Wisconsin, North, Minnesota, Dakota.
Okay, so this section right now is just showing us the different states in the map, and it is reading a couple of them a little bit out of order. So we're going to go through this reading passage, and we're going to talk about different regions of the United States. Like latitude and longitude, regions divide a place into smaller units. The United States can be divided into 5 main regions made up of states that have common features. That means all of the states in that area have things that are in common. And that's why they're grouped into a region. So anytime we're talking about a region of the United States or a region of a place, we're talking about something in common with all of those specific ones that's not in the other ones. So the regions we're going to talk about are the Northeast, the Southeast, the Midwest, the Southwest, and the West. Those are our 5 regions. So the environment, people, and history all play a part in shaping a region. Landforms and natural resources make the region's environment different from other areas. In addition, the way that people use and change the land can impact a region. Location can influence a region, as can the way the people earn their living. A region's history can also make it different from other regions. Finally, the people living in a region help to form its unique culture. So over here, when we're looking at these different ones, we know that our orange states are considered part of the Western region. Our yellow states are part of the Southwest. Our green states are the Midwest. Our purple states are the Northeast, and our pink states are the Southeast. Alaska and Hawaii lie in the West region, but are unique in their own ways. Neither state connects to another state. Some people call these states, besides Alaska and Hawaii, the lower 48 states. Alaska is often considered part of what is called the continental United States because it connects to the North American continent. Alaska is our northernmost state, reaching all the way up to the Arctic Circle. Hawaii is not part of the continental United States because it lies entirely in the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii lies about 2,500 miles southwest of California. Because of the curve of California's coastline, Hawaii is actually closer to San Francisco than it is to San Diego. Did you know that the sun shining on the Earth as it turns gives us 24 time zones? These are areas that share the same clock time. When it's noon in Florida, it's 9 o'clock in the morning in California. So here's a picture of the Alaskan coastline, and you can see there's ice, big ice structures that are found in the water, where if you look at the Hawaiian coastline, it's very much the opposite. You don't see any ice there. It's probably really warm, nice, tropical temperate climate. Let's take a look at our next set of pages. So we talked about latitude and longitude. Remember, lat, flat, longitude or long. We talked about the 5 regions of the United States: the Northeast, the Southeast, the Midwest, the Southwest, and the West. We talked about how each region is grouped that way because it shares certain common features. There are things that are the same from all of those states, and that's why they're grouped together. Alaska is part of the continental United States because it's connected to the continent of North America, and Hawaii is not because it consists of a string of islands that are completely out in the Pacific Ocean. Landforms and waterways. Landforms are physical features of the Earth's surface, such as mountains, canyons, or plains. Waterways are bodies of water that you can travel on, such as rivers, harbors, lakes, and oceans. Landforms and waterways can be small and local, like one solitary hill or one lake. Others can be key features of a region, like the Mississippi Delta in the Southeast region. Still, others can cross multiple regions, like the Great Plains in the Midwest, West, and Southwest regions. Geographers study landforms and waterways that make up a region. Maps and aerial photographs help geographers identify and describe them by their different sizes and shapes. So when we're talking about landforms, we're talking about things that are on the land. When we're talking about waterways, we're talking about different bodies of water. You can have landforms that are specific just to one area, or you can have landforms that span across many areas. So if you're looking at a mountain range or a body of water, it can be just in one area or it could span across multiple areas. The Great Plains runs all the way down the center of the United States. So that crosses into 3 different regions all by itself. The Great Plains from a person's point of view. The flat, dry plains are covered in grasses as far as the eye can see. The Mississippi Delta, as seen from the sky, the water from the Mississippi River fans out to meet the Gulf of Mexico. So you can see over here how it branches out in different directions. Powerful forces in the earth, such as volcanoes and earthquakes, can change and create landforms and waterways quickly. Changes also come from slow but steady forces like water wearing away a rock or ice glaciers growing and retreating across the land. These forces help create a great variety of landforms and waterways in the United States. This is a physical map of the United States. So when we're talking about physical maps, we're talking about how the earth looks. What are the physical features of the earth or of the particular region that we're looking at? So when we're looking at a physical map of the United States, some of the important things that you can see are landforms. You can see the Great Plains, you can see mountain ranges. You're able to see rivers and oceans and lakes. We have our scale down here at the bottom to show you how much the size is compared to the real size. We also have a scale up here in the top. We have our compass rose in the top center area that shows our cardinal directions. We also have our map key that tells us what all the different lines and colors of lines means. We can see our lines of longitude and latitude running through our map. And we can see the names of the other countries that surround it. We know that over here, the Great Lakes, here's the Central Plains, and so on and so on. Next, we're going to talk about climate. So climate is different than weather. Before we get started, weather changes from day to day. The weather one day can be nice and cool. The weather the next day could be really hot and dry. Maybe the day after that, you might get rain. But climate is what it's like most of the time. Is it mostly a hot, dry area? Is it mostly a really wet, warm area like a tropical climate like rainforests? Or is it hot and dry like deserts? So the climate is what it's like most of the time in a particular area. And that's one of the things that's used to define the different regions. They have a similar climate. Geographers use climate to describe regions. Climate is the pattern of weather over a long period of time. The weather within a region can be very different. For example, on the same day in December, it can be sunny and warm near the ocean, but freezing with snow at the top of a mountain 200 miles away. The climate varies because the beaches and the mountains are in different climate zones. A climate zone shares similar temperatures, amounts of precipitation. Remember, precipitation is like rain or snow or hail, anything that's any kind of water in any form that's falling from the sky is precipitation. And other factors. Temperature is a measurement of how hot or cold a place is. Precipitation is rain or snow. A region's climate depends on its geography. Places closer to the equator are warmer. So the southeast and the northwest are warmer than the northeast and the Midwest. Elevation also affects climate. Places in the mountains are cooler than places at a lower elevation at the same latitude. Being near large bodies of water like the Great Lakes or an ocean also influences the weather patterns and climate. The United States has many different climate types. from polar climates with long, cold winters to warm and wet tropical climates with, um, with many climate types in between. See the United States climate map at the back of the book. The West and the Southwest regions have a wide variety of climate types. Citizens in the Northeast, Southeast, and the Midwest have fewer climate types. So depending on where you are, the climate is going to be different. Depending on if you're up high, like a higher elevation, like in the mountains, it's going to be different than a lower elevation that's near sea level. Natural resources. People cannot make natural resources. Natural resources come from the environment. Natural resources include plants, animals, water, and more. So anything that comes from the earth, anything that's not man-made, that's already there, is a natural resource. Natural resources can be renewable or non-renewable. Renewable resources can be replenished or built up again. For example, lumber and wheat are renewable resources because those are things that can be replanted and grow again. Non-renewable resources take millions of years to form and cannot be replenished. So over here, think about minerals or coal or oil, things that are pulled from the earth that take a long time to make, and they don't grow back as easily or come back as easily like a plant would. Regions have both similar and unique natural resources. All regions produce crops. Citrus fruits, though, grow in warmer climates like Florida, Texas, Arizona, and California, while the Midwest produces the most corn. Oil production varies across the regions, with Texas, the Gulf of Mexico, North Dakota, Alaska, and California producing the most oil in 2017. So we went over the climate and some of the natural resources of different regions of the United States. Next, we're going to talk about economic regions. Geographers often describe a region by its economy. An economy is a system of producing and selling goods and services. An economy helps people in every region earn a living. People need a way to buy the things they need and to sell the things that they make. People can buy items such as food and cars, or they can buy services such as a math tutor or a babysitter. Now, the difference between goods and services is that goods are things. You can pick them up, you can hold them, you can buy them, you can hand them to somebody else. So shoes, clothes, a book, a toy, all of those things are goods. Services are things that people do for you. So when you go to the doctor, that doctor is providing a service. They're not giving you something to walk home with. They're helping you figure out what's wrong with you so that you can get better. A teacher provides a service. They're teaching you. When you leave your class, you're leaving with knowledge. That's something that you learned along the way. You're not leaving with a physical item. Economies of regions have similarities and differences. Banking and the federal government play a key role in the economy of the Northeast. People in the Southeast earn their wages in agriculture, so that means like planting things and crops, manufacturing cars, and drilling for oil. Many people in the Midwest depend on agriculture and manufacturing to earn a living. Places in the Southwest have rich oil, silver, and copper deposits, making oil drilling and mining important to the economy there. Technology companies, international trade, and tourism help drive the economy of the West. Economies vary within a region too. A large city may have a diverse economy, while a small town may rely on one or two key businesses. Cities near water can have certain industries that are not found in landlocked towns. So you have to think about the place where you are, and the economy of that place varies or it changes based on where it's located. So the economy of a place that's near an ocean may depend heavily, for example, on fishing, but that's not going to be the same type of economy that you would have from a place that's somewhere out in the Midwest where they're not near any major bodies of water. Next, we're going to talk about populations. Geography can be used to study population. Landforms and waterways, resources, climate, and the economy all play a role in where people live. One key resource that impacts population is water. People use water for drinking, agriculture, transportation, and manufacturing. So large cities are often located near bodies of water. Warm weather and good economy can also draw people to a city, helping it to grow and thrive. Look at the population chart below. Find the cities on physical and climate maps. Think about what geographic factors might have caused these cities to grow. So if you're looking at a city like New York, New York has one of the highest populations or the highest population in the United States. Now, if you're going to take a look at a map and think about where New York is located, New York is located along the East coastline. So we know that it's near bodies of water. And if it's near a body of water, that means the temperature or the climate is usually easy for people to live in. Yes, they're going to have some really cold parts of their winter. They'll have some really warm parts of their summer, but there's a lot of resources there because of where it's located. Next, we have Los Angeles. It's over here on the West Coast, again, near a major body of water. It's in a climate where the temperatures are pretty mild most of the time. It doesn't get extremely hot or extremely cold. So that climate brings in a lot of people as well. Now that we finished reading through page 17, we can go back over here into our workbook on page 11. And it says, use your investigative skills to look for text evidence that provides details to support the main idea. The chart will help you to organize your notes. So we're going to go through and put the main idea. So what has everything we've read about so far been telling us? What's the main idea? Our main idea is that geography impacts a region. So how has geography impacted the region? It impacts it by affecting the kind of agriculture it has, the kind of economy it has, the population of people that live there, and so on. You can list additional details as you go. Now, once you've completed page 11, we're going to go on to pages 12 and 13, and these are going to be the last pages for this lesson. Think about it. Review your research. Based on the information you've gathered, what different ways can you use geography to describe a location or a region? Write about it. Describe. Think like a geographer to define your state. Describe your state and the location in at least 3 different ways. As you read more throughout the year about different regions, include your region, review, and add to your description. So you're going to list the name of your state on the first line. Make sure you capitalize it because it is a proper noun. And then you're going to describe it in 3 different ways at least. You can describe the climate, you can describe the population, you can describe the economy, you can describe the landmarks or the physical features of that area, everything that we talked about in previous pages. Now for page 13, talk about it. Compare your descriptions with a partner. You have similar information. Compare and add any new information to your description. Now, this is where I was telling you that the project that I'm assigning to you guys is a little bit different than what's in the book. You're going to create a poster to attract tourists to your state. So in the beginning, it was telling you to create a poster for the United States. What I want you to focus on is this specifically. Make a poster to attract tourists to your state based on key geographic features. Write a paragraph describing how your state contributes to the strength of the United States. So that paragraph is going to be written at the bottom. For your assignment, make sure you're using pictures, lots of descriptions, make sure it's colorful. Note important landmarks and places that tourists would want to come visit, why people live here. Take a look at the economy. What are some of the important things that we have in California? And once you've completed that, you're going to turn it in and make sure you complete your paragraph over here on page 13. That takes you to the end of lesson 1. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.